you will come to know more and more about the book. What I would like you to do is like how we should start the conversation probably is by you reading some bits from the book. I have my favorite passages marked, but if you have something you can read, or I'll tell you like the page numbers and you can probably.
First, well, thank you very much, Sabha and Amir, for having us over here. It's I am one of my wife and I are one of the two people who are here for the first time, and I think it's. I personally think that this is a sort of dying tradition of having conversations of what she called Guftagu. And this is something that we really miss. Because both of us were in college together. She was in IP and I was in St. Stephen's. So we were doing our PG together. And we both come from service families. In the sense, both our fathers were in the uniform service. And there was always this tradition. Har sham ko somebody would drop in, call on other people. And there was no phone, there was no nothing. You would either have no mobiles. So you'd have a cup of tea, and if you were like my father, a Fauji man, you would have a drink. But you would have, most importantly, you would have conversations. I think that is a completely lost art. And that is reflecting very much, unfortunately and tragically, on the reading public. Because people don't talk, they don't read, and everything is pre-digested. So it's like Cerelac. Everything has to be a 2-minute video. Otherwise you can't digest it. Hajam nahi hota. So thank you for doing this, and I think it's a wonderful thing. I wish we could all take the time out and maybe we'll try. There's learning for everything and everyone. Thank you for the nice things that you said about the magic. I thought it was a fairly simple story. I have been a resident of Delhi all my life. और मेरा मानना यही है, और जो मैं देख चुका हूँ, हर एक का तमन्ना होता है कि कोई घर बनाए, आश्रय हो. It's a very basic human need. To complicate things in the Maslowian hierarchy, it is roti, kapda, makan. So once you get the roti, kapda sorted out, you do want to makan. But unfortunately, I think there's something wrong with our cities. If you talk to anybody from outside our immediate environment, he would question your sanity. He or she would definitely question your sanity. This is a place where you can't breathe the air, you can't drink the water, you can't get out on the road. Even with the GPS, even with the world's best vehicles, you can come up to the door but you can't find a place to park. So, and then you willingly put up millions and millions. You invest everything that you have to live here. So I started by my original idea of actually writing this, although it comes across as comedy, was a madhouse. In the sense that somebody has committed somebody to a lunatic asylum. Now, and what now passes for homes for the mentally disturbed are in sylvan surroundings, a very very nice environments, this, that and the other. And then this guy finds that actually he is in a gated complex. So it's like that old story, Pehchan Kaun, Pagal Kaun. So that's where the book started. And then while I was writing it, because I tend to be irreverent about everything, that's how it carried on to this sort of thing. I would read whatever passage you ask me to read.
Maybe probably page 2. It just hooks you from the word go, but then I found this to be quite relevant to the discussion we're going to have from here to here. Please.
It's a bright. This is a scene where the hero of the story, if you like, but the hero is actually a bit of an anti-hero because he is not your muscular, 6-foot tall sort of He-Man, Amitabh Bachchan type guy. He's a balding, bespectacled, short little fellow. He's deciding which house to buy. And he's sitting at home. And it's a bright Delhi end of January morning. Or as bright as Delhi mornings now get. The sun is bravely battling the fumes of the millions of vehicles that rampage up and down the city's roads every day. And its light is reflecting off the glossy real estate brochures I'm studying. Propped up on my 2 pillows, I am the lord and master of my rented 2-bedroom second floor flat And like the Emperor Alexander, I am surveying what frontiers I can conquer next. Rosewood, Greenacres, Richmond, Ferrydale, Glenmont, all smile at me from brightly coloured and expensively printed brochures. All of these are, of course, located in the middle of Haryanvi villages, which means that beyond the walls of Richmond are the slums of Rasoolpur, and the view from Ferrydale Views is actually of Fazilpur's fields. Wow, this can certainly be a business school branding case study, Ferrydale in Fazilpur. But once again, I'm evading the main issue. It is decision time, and Roshni has narrowed it down to two prospects. My only call is financial, and of course getting the geometry and the geography right, which basically means that I need to ensure that the living room and our bedroom should be in the same line, and get the sun in winter and the shade in the summer. These are the simple diktats of my simply better half. The builders are more or less the same in terms of reputation and work. The specifications offered are again 6 of one and a half dozen of the other. Laminated wooden floors, vitrified tiles, dado, ceramic finish, etc. All the reviews on the internet uniformly promise the most grandiose returns on investment. In fact, come to think of it, the top hits are so alike that it seems to have hired the same social marketing firm. The sample flat illustrations of both look right out of the pages of the best interior decoration magazines. The pricing is the same, as are the terms of the clips, construction-linked installment payment schemes. The Excel sheet that is open on the laptop is powerless to choose, and Roshni has in her wisdom left the choice to me. So she can blame me later, no doubt. Too many decisions for me, a simple college lecturer, associate professor, to take. Time to go downstairs, stretch my legs and take a smoke break. Arey, hamare Bengali saab. Too late to duck behind the unfolded newspaper and sidle right back up the staircase to my second floor ARE. I am ambushed fair and square at the ground floor entrance by the kurta pajama, sweater and dressing gown wearing apparition of Fat Bum Khanna. Please come, Bengali Saab. Come and have some tea and mithai. Arey, I know you can't say no to mithai. After all, you're Bengali, na? My boy is having some problems with his class 12 political science syllabus. Please come over and help him. I know from past experience that any expostulations of my being a lecturer of history would be in vain. So I smile, fold my hands and follow him in meek surrender. Fat Bum Khanna is not just a person. He is a force of nature and is as imperious and decimating of all in his path as the most unstoppable ocean tsunami. The very idea of a thin, prematurely balding, bespectacled, cigarette-smoking Bengali academic countering him is simply ludicrous. Why did I ever step out for that cigarette? No wonder it's proved to be dangerous to health. The characters are being set up, the situation is being set up.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so while reading the book, there were 3 things that caught my attention. Those are, I'm going to share them. The first one was, of course, humor, wit and satire that he has used brilliantly. The second one was the character, Mr. Envy, and other characters as well. But him more so because, as you rightly said, he comes across as an anti-hero. Comes across him, we can find bits of ourselves in him. A very normal guy, and yet his innocence is so appealing. And the third thing that caught my attention was the beautiful way you have described and the very realistic way you have described this today. So these 3 things caught my attention, and the discussion will focus around on these 3 aspects. There are several other things, but I thought to narrow it down to these 3 parts because that's what I loved about the book. So before we get into that, what was the trigger behind the book? You've been a college professor and I think you are an entrepreneur. So writing a book, when did this happen? When did this thought come to you? Is this autobiographical, partially autobiographical, fiction based on your observations around you? People buying, or friends, whoever, who bought houses and they faced all this kind of thing. So what was it that
all of it together.
Yes.
I think number one, it's very perceptive of you.
Yeah.
Because these are the 3 things on which the book really is based. Which is, when you can't try at a situation, the best thing you can do, when you can't change a situation, the best thing you can do is laugh at it. Otherwise, you'll end up crying about it.
Yes.
Because there's nothing you can do. I mean, this is like Shakespeare said, disease is desperate grown. By desperate remedies are solved, or not at all. our cities are at breaking points, and there's nothing to do about it. So it's a tale of urban angst on one side, but then the best thing to do is laugh at it. Second, the hero character that you mentioned, it has long been a fascination for me as a student of literature. I must sort of confess with my answer, I've been a lecturer only for 4 months, 6 months, something like that. It's the first job you get after getting out of university if your grades are good. I was a university topper, gold medalist, blah blah blah, so I got this job immediately. But I knew that I am not going to make a profession out of this, because my love for literature has been very, very personal. I have always been a reader.
Very passionate reader, that's true.
I mean, I read like a vacuum cleaner. So anything that is in my path, I'll just soak up, even medical prescriptions. So
It's like my son, you know, he would read at the back of any toy he gets. Instructions nahi aate hain piche ye. So he likes to read those.
So being a reader like that, I've always been. I think every reader has a writer in him or her.
Yeah, true.
Half-baked perhaps, or not finding
Yes.
time to come to fruition, but every reader will have a writer.
Right.
As a student of literature, I was very consumed by this heroism as a concept. I don't know how many of you have been students of literature, but Aristotle, you know, in the sort of
Poetics.
in the Poetics says that your hero has to be a king. The fall of a beggar is not a tragedy; it's only the.
Common man is not a subject to tragedy.
But then in our present century, all this has been upstaged, because the common man has become, from the Death of a Salesman, which is the most famous, to Albert Pinto, wo gussa ki maata hai. So everywhere it is the common man. So for me, I knew my hero is not going to be a hero in that sense. The heroes are us. So it's just an average guy. And I knew there is something heroic, or non-heroic, in what he does that can still make for interesting reading and identification. Not necessarily, I knew that this is not going to be one of your, the phrase that I used in Bombay was Inspector Vijay kind of heroes.
Yeah.
Where he's a common man, but he's so uncommon. His situation
Larger
is
than
common.
life, yeah.
He's so larger than life that even the common man aspires to be. Like when we make ads, we say that it's a middle class household, but we'll always show, you know, the best of tiles. We'll show the happy, what we used to call the Addy family. Families are nothing like that. Given the least chance, they start throwing chappals at each other. But you see the ads, and you will find that. So I knew that this is not going to be one of those characters.
Yeah.
He is going to be a normal guy. And so there are going to be two things, that either it is going to be very boring.
But you're jumping the gun. I asked you what is the trigger? Well, what exactly got you to writing this fiction, and when did it start?
Time.
Time.
I mean, I had the time.
Oh, you had.
No, I must also
How?
add that he's been very affected by the situation of the cities, because as a wife, he gets really worked up on the road when he's driving, and he sees the indiscipline in the traffic, and the pollution hits us and everything, you know, it's like,
The Bengali
I don't think he
mentality.
just sat and wrote it. It was like, I felt he had to write it because it was there for years. It was like he was taking it very badly. Why? What is happening to our cities?
No, and
One of the triggers.
I've been a writer. I've been writing ads for a long time. So everybody always said that you write very well. And even my mails are very interesting in the sense you write to clients and all. I was giving one of these talks, I was giving an example that you write to, most of the time you're writing to clients asking for money because they don't pay you on time.
Yeah.
So my mails are never reminder mails or something like that. It would be like, I wait for hours by the phone. I chewed my fingers to the bone. The promised week came and went. The promised check remained unsent. Tell me that low whistling sound you hear is actually the wolf at my door. And I'd make up stuff like that.
You're giving us ideas. Good.
Yeah, I know. Please copy us. Please copy us. We'll take your ideas.
Share the one you wrote to your book agent with. That's very relevant. I
So I've always been a writer. So they've always asked me that, why don't you write? Why don't you write? it's like she said, maybe I didn't have a story worth writing about, or nothing really moved me that much. It's not that I've had a very disturbed childhood and my parents tortured me, or I was in a hostel, my seniors tortured me. It was a military hostel, but wasn't enough to sort of
Move you enough to write a
So I really
story.
felt that this affected it, this leading citizen.
So maybe that's why. And I had time in the sense that my business is run by a CEO, and I had time to.
When did you start writing it? When
I wrote this in 6 months.
He's also very
Physically.
fast.
Wow.
That's another thing.
So-
He just shut down the stuff.
So maybe that's the advertising discipline.
Yeah.
Because 2015, from May to December, I finished in December.
Okay. Great.
I started in May.
And then you approached Rupa directly?
Oh no, that's what she's saying.
This you must hear. This is
So I sent it to this agent, Kanish. He's very famous.
Yes.
So he picked it up like a trout picking up the fly. Boom! Done! So I said, very good. This is Asia's biggest, South Asia's biggest, whatever he advertises himself as. I said, very good, very nice.
This is-
That's all.
Being
We all know
recorded.
Kanish.
So I told him all this. So he's,
But I find it very intriguing. And if what order, you started as professor, then entrepreneur, and then a writer.
yeah, well, there's lots more in between.
It's very interesting.
I think his
Choice of professions.
relationship with literature has never stopped. In fact, if you just adding and interfering, but our house is going, we're having repairs done and painting is happening. And more than furniture, we've got books coming out of everywhere, and I can't figure out where to put them. We have so many books. So he's been reading throughout. I think it was like a natural.
So, like I said, my association with literature would never have, it was always there, it wouldn't go anywhere. Whatever I did, even if I was writing something as cheap as washing powder ads, I knew that I'll still go back and read something meaningful, something worthwhile. So yeah, well, I wrote to Kanish,
Yeah.
Kanish, his agent picked up this, and then his editors wrote to me saying that very good, great stuff, this, that and the other. So the impression I got, and this is all on email, is that there'll be a line of publishers beating down my door. So I went and chilled the champagne. And then rejections, one after the other, like a hotel bedsheet, everybody turning me down, one after the other. So finally I wrote to him, and I wasn't on Facebook with him. Then he went and put this up on Facebook. That's when I wrote to him that rejected, here I stand, unread, unbought manuscript in hand. Tell me, my literary agent friend, is this well and truly the end? Should I self-publish or consign to the tomb this unwanted child of an unripe womb? So he put this on Facebook, and that got real traction. So then, some 5-7 days later, he said that Rupa is making an offer, but he's बहुत बाजार हुए हैं, don't get your hopes up. Typical Kanish this thing. Then Rupa made this offer, and then a year and a half passed because I signed a contract
When
with
did
them
this come out exactly?
May 2018,
May 2000.
and I signed the contract with them in 2016 December. So it took a year to get sold, it took a year and a half to get published. And this, because I run a business, this kind of product cycle is unimaginable.
Yeah. Okay, so coming to your story, you have used the element of wit and satire very effectively to emphasize any point in the book. You have resorted time and again to that, and that got me, that tickles the bones really of a reader. And for me, as a writer, I must tell you, I'm so bad at humor. I never even attempt it. In reality or in writing, I just don't attempt it because I know it will fall flat. So is this by nature we can make out little bit that you use it?
I guess I am
Yeah.
that way.
But then what prompted you to use it in your writing as well? How did you come across this thought कि इसको ऐसे लिखना चाहिए? मतलब इस कहानी को when you were shaping it up.
It's not really, as I must confess, not that thought through. Because you just sit down and start writing, and then I read somewhere that some guy, a very famous guy, writer, said that you can't control your characters.
That's true. I agree.
So sometimes it goes in one direction, sometimes
Yeah.
it goes. I didn't know which way it was going to go. And suddenly a character comes in like that, social media guy comes in, because I was having a lot of problems with my social media guys. I thought they were a bunch of idiots. And they're interested in the here and now, but not in the larger scheme of things. So then I put him in. Then there was this very famous, in Oscars there's this place called Satkar, which, you remember Shomu Bose? So there's a bar called Satkar. There's a hotel called Satkar that sells cheap liquor. And this was really that bar, head bar.
Okay. Oh.
Because it became an adda of sorts when there are times in everybody's life when you can't afford to go to a big place and drink a black label or something. So that's how it all sort of came. And it took shape as I had a broad idea in mind. Then I'm going to write about this guy's story of building a house.
So you knew one of the characters earlier. Before you started writing, you had already developed one of your characters. What came first, the character or the story?
I don't know. This is chicken
No,
and
when
egg
you
kind of thing.
when you started writing, so it was like a thought must have come कि मैंने एक कहानी लिखनी है इस पर.
मेरा एक और चीज है, not just the writing of the story, it's also the writing itself. I have been very, very clear that a sentence should sing. Anything that is worthwhile writing should be written well,
Yes.
or not written at all.
Yeah.
And you should be able to take the language. You should be able to rub it into your hair, scrub under your armpits, or turn on the water and sort of slather yourself with it. You should have fun with the language, and you should have enough of a muscular grasp over it to be able to tell it exactly what you want. So sometimes the tone, if you notice, sometimes the tone of the writing is very important. When I'm writing about things that I really love, like Delhi, the tone with which Delhi is treated through the book changes.
Yeah.
There is a perceptible darkening. First, it's still very bright and airy.
True.
The colors are yellow,
Yeah.
which are colors of happiness.
Yeah.
Then it becomes darker, it becomes grayer.
Yeah.
All the precipitated pollution
Yes.
settles on the text. The entire thing becomes dark.
In fact, I think I marked one place where I thought you should read that out just to give our audience here an idea of what you.
I grew up in this city, and what's happened to it is,
Yeah. Of course, we all can relate to that. Sorry, I can't find it right now. You please go on. I'll just look for it.
there
Oh
is-
yeah, no, this one. It's quite the initial part of it only, where the Rocky I think gets him to see the place for the first time.
yeah. But this is like. This
What
is
page
Gurgaon.
is it? What page is it?
Page is,
This is not Delhi, it is Gurgaon. This is page
this is
27.
Gurgaon, yeah.
27.
Yeah, this is
27.
Page 27. This is the first sort of introduction to Gurgaon, which I think is another opportunity gone waste, because we had a greenfield, literally a greenfield opportunity. And what has been done to Gurgaon is, everybody is familiar with it. Here we are, uncle, here we are. This is the first drive into Gurgaon. Here we are. This is the main sector road that leads up to Glenmont Greens. Won't be long now, you should be able to see the site in 10 minutes. This communication from Rocky forces me to snap out of my thoughts and look around. Here we are. Where are we? This looks like some sort of desolate moonscape. A road that has been ravaged by earth movers on either side and scarred in the middle by some bulldozer run amok. This is here we are. The Innova is lurching from side to side, splashing through pools of rancid water, and Rocky too is muttering about the damage to his beloved car. On either side are glass and concrete buildings, adorned with the names and logos of the world's best-known companies. And in between them, like cavities and teeth, are empty plots or half-constructed shells of buildings. There are people, smartly dressed in office formals and carrying laptop bags, who for some reason are rushing across the road. There seems to be an urgency and a purposeful efficiency about this place that, for me at least, does not correspond with the physical reality. It all feels a little disembodied, one psychotropic removed from the here and now. Like a play where the actors are merely rehearsing and all the props have not yet been put in place. But somehow, someone has collected the ticket money, let the audience in and raised the curtains. Just what is this? And where are we? So it carries on in that way. And
The satire is brilliant, isn't it? As you can make out.
so as the characters are seeing what is happening, the wife is asking, but the central verge, Roshni's incredulity is apparent, and in spite of all my problems, I cannot help but be interested in this conversation. This urban planning lunacy seems to be in orders of magnitude higher than the craziness of my head. So
Yeah.
it just goes on and on. Well, there are long passages on it.
So tell us, coming to Mr. MB or Professor MB. First of all, why did you, address him throughout the book? Only one place his full name is mentioned towards the end, I think.
That's the last word.
That's the last word, yes.
And that's also significant.
Yes, and beautifully. You blended it beautifully. So, what was again the thought behind that to use just MB, Mr. Banerjee?
See, in most places in our cities, we remain nameless.
Really?
You know, even in our apartments, you say, the guy with the grey Nova, or the guy with the yellow lab.
In fact, when we first moved into our complex, people started introducing, hi, I'm ML40, MD34. So it was like,
So because all the Residents Welfare Association getting to know each other, so
the personal thing is moving out.
and maybe now, maybe I'm looking for reasons, but that time was just convenient.
Just
And even in offices, you sometimes say that, okay, CMS will do this, and RK will do this, and this will be handled by such. Even in emails, you see this communication all the time. Action,
Even
RK.
the wife is addressing as MB.
That's a term of endearment.
Yeah. It's
Because-
double E.
Yeah, MB.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in one of his ruminations, he talks about his own feeling of worthlessness. And there he says that perhaps, like a stray dog, I should remain the unnamed enemy.
There is a place, throughout the book, I've noticed that he's not very ambitious as such in life, and he's very happy with what he has. And that is kind of appealing to the reader, although it appears a little strange, even Fat Bum, Mr. Khanna, kind of says that at one portion he remarks that, why did you give that 1% extra to the home loan guy? And for him, the whole experience was more important than giving away just 1% more for getting that loan. So how did that come about?
Okay, now what I'm going to say is a bit heretic, and you are recording this. And this will sound
Let
even
me
more fake.
add a little bit more. He is not at all interested कि मेरे से कोई ज़्यादा ले जाए तो कोई problem नहीं है. He's okay with even losing out. So how can someone be okay in this age and era? How can someone be okay with losing out on just that experience? He enjoys that whole experience of talking to a guy who's also from Delhi and talking about Delhi. So how does this kind of come about?
Like I said, this might sound a little fakey.
Yeah.
And in a different sense, my son asked me this question. My son is 25 years old. He stays in Canada, and he's been working now for what, 3 years? No, 2.5 years would be. 3.5 years. And he's very competitive, and he's very up there, and he wants to move forward, and etc. All the usual things. He asked me this question. He called me one day and said, Baba, I read your book, I enjoyed it. But tell me, where did a guy like you get this limp-wristed beta-type male from? So that's why I said that if I say these things, it sounds very fakey. Because I am not like this in life at all. Because I have been a driven entrepreneur and successful and all that, run that race. I purposely did this here because sometimes I think our ambitions are towards the wrong things. If you see here, what is he happy about? I'm not saying ambition to be happy, because that is a very loosely defined term that any sort of armchair psychologist would pick holes in. How can you be happy? Or define happiness? What is happiness to you is not happiness to me. I think our ambitions are sometimes towards less worthwhile goals. What is making him happy is the conversation with this guy because he identifies with him, which he is happy with, and for that he is willing to pay up that much extra. While a fat bum may be happier going to a bliss spa, but that is his happiness. Or his older brother might be happier going to the 1911 at Imperial and drinking single malt scotch and paying a king's ransom for it. At least he has a handle on his happiness. Unfortunately, most of us don't. We think that building the bigger house or getting to the next job will give us happiness. In that sense, his character is secure.
Okay, moving on to the other themes, there are different layers in the story, and one of them you have also dealt with trials and tribulations of marriage and infidelity and cheating partners, etc. as a theme in the book. Now, Supreme Court judgment came, and adultery has been decriminalized. Researchers are also coming out and vocally saying that infidelity is an alarm call, basically. So it's time to rethink adultery. So, in your opinion, what are your thoughts on infidelity, on the institution of marriage and its future? The mic is also there.
No, that's okay. I mean, the advantage is we've been classmates.
Yeah.
So she's seen me much worse.
Yeah.
This again is something that I would. Before you ask me this, our son and I are very close. So we've had long conversations. He's not been in India from 2011, but we've always had long conversations. So his opinion is clearly that marriage is a defunct social construct. It has no place in today's day and age. My girlfriend and I have a contract where our KRAs are specific. So the kind of marriage requires, and this we are feeling. My wife and I, we fight like cats and dogs, but we are still able to talk this over. We are still of a generation where love is actually a biochemical illusion. I mean, everybody, from your Harari to any psychologist will tell you that you secrete enough dopamine, serotonin, etc., you will be in love. So, this biochemical illusion is sustained by active myth-making from both partners and an elaborate social charade. If either of these fail, then the institution cannot survive. Because suddenly if everybody starts saying that, okay, adultery is fine and it's all good, and then we'll start open up a pack of playing cards and say, okay, who's which playing? So, if everything is in place, right now the social construct is being actively deconstructed. The ways in which marriages have been kept alive, this myth-making, is again being deconstructed. For the first time in human history, and this is something that has started from in Western society from the Renaissance, is the human individual is at the center. It is all about self-will. It is about being yourself. You look at all the ads for the last maybe 20 years. Reebok says, let's you be you. Nike says, let's do it, or just do it. The most famous slogan ever. Just do it. This, that, and the other. Everything is about the individual fulfilling himself. Now, if every individual fulfills himself, where is the room for any other individual? If I only need to be understood,
आप
Where
जलेबी की
is-
तरह घूम रहे हो, आप मेरे को सीधा सीधा बताओ आप क्या सोचते
exactly ये सोचता हूँ। ये मैं जलेबी की तरह घुमा नहीं रहा, मैं कह रहा हूँ कि as long as it's a social construct
हो? हाँ,
and as long as
It's not clear, evident that she's had an affair or anything. It was more like, how.
So there's an attraction and
those attractions happen everywhere. But dealing with those attractions is different in my generation as will be from yours as to my husband. There will be different. I frankly don't think marriage was very different. Or even in what you call other materially advanced societies. Marriage also is unfortunately it has become an office and an office come residence. So nobody is invested in it. There is no sense of city amongst the citizens. हम जो इतिहास की बात करते हैं, there is no city perhaps in the world that is richer
Yes.
historically than Delhi.
Yes.
You travel anywhere in North America.
Yeah.
Now North America is from 1776. Poor fellows don't have anything before that except for what they call the First Nations and whatnot. So wherever it is, they will erect a monument. They will make air-conditioned booths. They will have $14 tickets. They'll have a gift shop. They'll have a trinket. They'll have ice cream stands. They'll have McDonald's for something that is here. A cannonball landed from the Confederate cannonball from the Civil War. Cannonball. Big Delhi? ये this तुगलकाबाद
I know.
तुगलकाबाद सिरी फोर्ट जो मैंने ये कहा है ना कि किसी को मालूम नहीं सिरी फोर्ट is because सर के बने हुए हैं 10,000 सर दबे हुए होते हैं.
I mean, there's such rich history and
Yes,
stories to be told, but the tourism can be turned completely around. Somewhere the
One of
government is
the greatest classical poets were from Delhi and उनके monuments अभी
Everybody.
ऐसे ही पड़े हुए हैं.
We have also become like that. I think we have also become completely, I would say.
So what is the solution? What do you think should
There is
come? No, like I mean, छोटी-छोटी चीजों से ही तो फिर अगर थोड़ा सा
नहीं तो मैंने ये जो आपके जो प्रश्न है मैंने तो प्रीफेस में ही कहा था ना disease is desperate grown by desperate measures of salt
yeah, yeah. So
require
desperate
the
measures.
4 megaton nuclear bomb.
Would you like to end with one of the?
I'll end with a section on Delhi again since we're talking about Delhi.
Yeah.
Delhi is in fact a major character.
Yeah.
It's one of the characters.
रेंज बता दीजिए.
अब पहले मैं ढूंढ लूं. सॉरी आपको इंतजार करा रहा हूँ. ये पेज है 131 131. It's just a paragraph. Delhi seems to have finally given up. Like he has with everything else, modern man has triumphed here too. First, we as a species wiped out more species than anything else since the dawn of life on the planet. Of course, we did not spare ourselves either, and learning avidly from the world wars, refined the practice of industrial human slaughter to a point of terrifying efficiency. Next, we trained our sights on the environment and the world at large. By dumping millions of tons of waste into the land and the oceans, and pumping millions of tons of gases into the air, we poisoned all three. Now, we have sharpened the focus of these sights onto the cities that we live in. And Delhi has been hit the hardest. Bravely battling on since the times of being called Indraprastha, and then recovering from the purges of the Islamic sword, as well as the Christian cannon. This seat of power, my beloved old lady, who I was so hopeful of up to the beginning of the year, seems to have finally thrown in the towel. She seems to have accepted defeat, and is now lying belly up in supine acceptance, awaiting the inevitable coup de grace. In the meantime, the traffic rides and froths on her surface, like a billion maggots draining away her lifeblood. The skies, pregnant with their load of pollution, lower down on her, cutting off any life-giving air and suffocating her with an aerial blanket of poison. And the water, black, viscous and moistened, leaches out of her from thousands of saturating cuts to frothily corrupt the river that sustained her for millennia. We created the city. Now we are killing it.
It's been killed almost. Imagine I came here 65 years ago.
Thank you so much.
You know,
So we are open to take questions.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Ms. Rimapa was saying something.
मैंने
because life turns in cycles, and I'm really hoping that's true.
लखनऊ में ज़रा ज़्यादा है, लेकिन इतना ख़त्म भी नहीं हुआ था लखनऊ। मुझ गंगा जमुनी कल्चर की प्राइड थी लखनऊ में पूरी तरह ख़त्म नहीं हुई थी, मगर वो अब फिर से उभर रही है और बहुत ज़ोर से उभर रही है। I mean, politics aside, among the people still, even though the Lucknow has expanded so much, and there have been immigration or whatever you call it, लोग बाहर से भी यहाँ हैं, लेकिन फिर भी वहाँ अभी वो फ्लेवर है। यहाँ फ्लेवर ख़त्म हो चुका है, लेकिन लग रहा है कि वही है कि जो दर्द का हाथ से बढ़ रहा है दवा हो जाना। तो मेरे ख्याल में दिल्ली में थोड़ा थोड़ा मैं देख रही हूँ पिछले 5-7 सालों में कि नौजवानों में ख्वाहिश शुरू हो रही है।
I hope this happens. I hope
वो
this
सस्टेन
happens.
हो सकेगा कहाँ तक I don't know.
काफी अभी they have become conscious in reviving environment and culture. Maybe that's the
जैसे मैं शुरू में कहा था ना कि अगर ऐसे मुशायरे होते रहे तो शायद कुछ होप हो।
मतलब थोड़ा है मुझे अभी जैसे maybe it's small example anyway, but जैसे उर्दू को फिर से रिवाइव किया जा रहा है। I mean there was at one time पाकिस्तान hijacked उर्दू, तो यहाँ काफ़ी ख़त्म ही हो रही थी एक तरह से, लेकिन अब उर्दू को किया जा रहा है। अला उर्दू के साथ साथ अब आप देखिए, आप बाज़ारों में भी जाइए तो सीख कबाब हर जगह मिलने लगे। You know, things like this. I mean, they are small indications, but things which were almost lost are being revived a little bit. Sustain होगा कि नहीं, I can't say.
I hope that happens.
Because young people are getting interested in these things. Still is going for the effort to be sustained. मगर हो सकता ये भी है कि through education and media इस effort को थोड़ा encourage भी करना चाहिए, क्योंकि education and media also failed us, you know, तो उसको थोड़ा सा encouragement भी मिलना चाहिए at the same time, क्योंकि हमारी हिस्ट्री तो बहुत रिच है और दिल्ली खास तौर से उसको ख़त्म नहीं होने देना चाहिए। कहीं तो
होगा भी नहीं, हम लाख कोशिश कर ले, व्यापारी लाख कोशिश कर ले, नहीं हो पाएगा।
लेकिन मीडिया और जब से ये गवर्नमेंट आई है, जब से थोड़ा सा मैं देखती हूँ कि ये सब कोशिशें तो हो रही हैं उर्दू बढ़े और ये बढ़े, लेकिन डिस्टेंस भी बढ़ रहा है। ऐसा नहीं है, जितना कि कोशिश इस तरफ हो रही है उतना ही हो रही है कि हिंदुइज्म बहुत बढ़ाई जा रही है। रात रात भर भजन हो रहे हैं, ट्रक पे लेके
आजाद भी तो हो रही है 5 दफा दिन में।
मेरा मानना है कि
आजाद भी हो रही है 5
मेरा
दफा दिन में।
ये जो इन्होंने शुरू में कहा था ना कि पाकिस्तान हाईजैक उर्दू, मेरा मानना है कि आप ना दिस उर्दू इज अ लैंग्वेज, आई एम पर्सनली नॉट fully conversant with Urdu, but I think good languages communicate before they are understood. It should not be linked. It is a part of India's culture. It is a part of the syncretic composite culture that is India's, and that is under assault. There is no doubt about that.
उर्दू मुस्लिम्स की है ही नहीं ज़बान, तो
वही
इंडिया
तो-
की ज़बान है।
वही तो
अब जब ये होते हैं लिटरेरी फंक्शंस या उर्दू के फंक्शंस, तो उसमें नॉन मुस्लिम ज़्यादा होते हैं, पढ़ने वाले भी और लिखने वाले भी
और परफॉर्म करने वाले भी।
परफॉर्म करने वाले, और बहुत
हिंदी और उर्दू का सोर्स तो एक ही था ना, सोर्स
ये but that, and while all this religiosity, overdose of this religios, I think there will be a reactionary recoil to it also. There are enough people who are sick and tired. I was spending it all my life.
I agree.
You had a question.
Yeah, I'm sort of off the track of the Urdu. I also feel it's simplistic sometimes to say कि when everybody becomes individualistic, then how will society function? Or because I think sometimes you are seeing it more as black and white, whereas all of us are really in the grey area. क्योंकि individualism doesn't mean कि कोई किसी का सुनता नहीं है या ये वो, you know, it's being able to protect yourself really from very oppressive institutions, and you rightly pointed out marriage is one of them, you know. Because my son also got married in July in the US, And I was amazed by how traditional the wedding was. As his mother, I was like, God, don't you learn from us? We fight all the time, you know. It's like monkeys not learning, you know. But, so I think, you know, we have to be careful when we think in very binary ways of what is individual and what is collective, because sometimes there is a push to say that if we lose our sense of social, cultural collectiveness, then we'll become like the West, which is very individualistic and therefore bad, you know. And sometimes that kind of theory is put forward to protect very, very oppressive institutions that exist. So I don't think things are black and white and so binary. There is the grey that we
I don't know whether you understood whether that is what you understood from what I was saying.
Because you said if you're individualistic, then nobody listens to anybody, and then, you know, how will you have?
In one context, perhaps limited, but I personally, I cannot think in binary terms at all, and least of all be judgmental. If you read the book, I don't know whether you've read it.
No, I haven't.
I'll shy away from any sort of judgment on anything. Boss, you are happy doing your thing, whatever brings you happiness. Let me be happy doing my thing. And what is true for you, one man's meat is another man's poison. So I am not judgmental at all about anything. And binary is an impossibility. Only computers can think in binary terms, 0 and a 1. But we are not like that. Our emotions will always get in the way. So it can't, being a binary thinker is dangerous. It is polarizing. It is polarizing. In certain cases, I wasn't perhaps careful of my words, and I don't know if that is the meaning of duality. But in certain contexts, what is happening also for the past 500 years is never has the individual been so much at the center of all endeavor as much as he or she has been today. All through our evolutionary course, we have been a herd species. It is only now that we are celebrating the individual as much as we are. And that is becoming more and more so. In fact, the trajectory is moving towards a single individual. I saw it even in my stint in advertising. Earlier we used to talk to a defined target group, SEC, males, or things like that. Today with digital and the kind of sniper shot it gives you, you are talking to a sabha. You're not talking to an undifferentiated mass of humanity, you're talking to an individual. So that is definitely, to my mind, dangerous. That is my feeling of it, not a judgment.
I hadn't read your book, so I read an extract of First Post, and I felt I liked the idiom, but you put it bullseye. You said the tone of writing. So I think that sums it up even better than your idiom of writing. You pointed out, you read from page 27, and you spoke about this one psychotropic remove from here and now. So I was rather struck by the word psychotropic. But that's a word that people don't use. People could use psychiatric, psychedelic, psychological, So what flashed in my mind immediately was neurotropic. I realized that when you use something like psychotropic, I know that the person using psychotropic has done some research into
into the good stuff.
Yeah, I know there is some research into it, because psychotropic is a very specific word, so because it's not something everybody uses. So I really had admiration for you for that. I don't want to know, or if you don't want to know, that's okay. But
no, I've never been a user myself, but I have had lots of friends who are users, and I do think, and if you read the book, you will see that I expand on it, because I create a scenario where there's a bunch of urban planners headed by an IAS officer who are planning the city of Gurgaon, And it seems to me that whoever plans this has been smoking some very powerful stuff.
He's mentioned, yeah.
Because it is complete, it is madness.
I know.
I mean, the first thing that they will do is the plantation. They'll plant all the trees. Then 5 years later, when the trees are nice and big,
They pull it
they'll say, oh, we need roads.
Dig it out.
And then they'll put the roads. And then after that, bolt of lightning. We need drains, boss. So you dig up the roads.
Delhi has such a bad drainage system anyway.
Then they'll put in the
Very
drains.
crazy, yeah.
Then they'll have, then they'll lagao another good one, and then they'll say, electric cabling. Electric cabling chahiye.
I mean, again, you are saying
It
satire.
happens here
Yeah,
always.
it's satire, yeah.
It happens here always.
So,
All the roads.
Just driving from home to school, I've seen the center was the divider, the trees being chopped off twice around. I don't know what the whole idea is.
that's why I'm saying it is one psychotropic move. I feel like we're living in some sort of, somebody is smoking and saying, अब मजे लेता हूँ मैं, इसको इधर हटा दो.
And this entire discussion, that when it ended, me too, and you spoke about this malnutrition and biochemical reaction. That's what you actually said.
And actually I said illusion.
Illusion. Sorry. So I changed that. I think I don't know. It's all a personal. One person takes from other person's take anyway. It serves some kind of positive social concept.
No, it serves a very
as a
necessary-
family, to keep a family together in that sense.
No, it serves a
some
very-
kind of family together. So I think even if it has its cracks, but if it
No.
That's
No,
what-
no, miss. All biochemical illusions have a purpose. Our human bodies are so fantastically engineered. We are animals. In fact, we are one of the only animals. We are the only animal that mates face to face. Because our pair bonding instinct is so strong. No other animal needs to see its mate's face in the act of copulation. But our pair bonding is so important to us that needs to happen. And to bring up the family, you go along for what is defined as the 7-year itch.
But when she put the Me Too, and then the marriage thing came up, you see, and the biochemical illusion came up. What was scary to me was that when the biochemical, there is bonding, flirtation, liking, and then there is something else. So this situation, before that long bond happens, that Fevicol bond happens, the flirtation, the liking period, you see.
Yeah.
So that can be easily manipulated. That's
But
scary.
yet,
That's scary.
in societies
Both
now,
ways. I
in
mean,
societies
both ways,
now, especially if you go to the West, spend some time there, this or even in Iceland, for example, that phase has been removed.
Achha.
Because there is no getting to know, there is no flirtation, there is no chase. It is a right swipe. You make a Tinder date. Or in Iceland, what they do is
my God.
first they check. Apparently it's a social thing that their dates, have a drink at the bar, then go make out, see if that basic thing works for you. Then you decide to know each other. So you get that out of the way first. So it's happening.
Maybe it's happening in India as well.
Our biggest
Very
challenges,
much.
our biggest challenges, or our biggest blessings today, and this reminds me of हमारे स्कूल में वो कॉम्पोजिशन होता ना, विज्ञान, अभिशाप या वरदान.
अभी भी होता है science.
So that is happening because with the advances of biochemistry and engineering, when biology and physics are coming together, what is happening is scary and accelerating. Because if you read about what is happening with CRISPR, DNA technology, or with AI at a microscopic or a nanobot level, it's amazing. And this will create the ultimate social divide. Because the rich will then be able to afford the designer babies.
Yes.
You will finally have the caste system becoming real.
Have you heard of the book Homo Deus?
Yeah, I've read it.
So he says that we will be able to re-engineer our minds. Individuals can do that on their own.
So it's
You
happening
can
right now.
imagine, what can happen.
That's what I was saying. And this is true. The social constructs that we grew up with throughout history have all been wiped out, and there is nothing really, not yet a tested construct in place. Even our systems, again to quote Harari, our systems of communism, fascism and liberal economics, all these were tested out in the previous century, in the 20th century. Before that there was basically monarchy. No other system. Even what the Greeks called democracy was not really democratic. Your slaves, your women, your lower castes were not allowed to vote. But it was a nice patriarchy, a nice patrilineal kind of thing. All this is brand new, so we don't know which way we'll go. Everybody has rights now. So where's the left?
Who's left?
Until you wrote it in flat 6 months, your book.
Yeah, I'm fairly disciplined in that sense, because when I was writing something like 4,000-5,000 words a day on good days.
So did 6 months included research, or
There's no real research.
you didn't research
I don't
much?
think there was any research.
So you knew all about Delhi anyway,
Hey, who doesn't? I mean, if you live in Delhi all your life, you would know about it.
and all those
Actually,
people
because
who
he
were
reads a lot, so a lot of
drafting
people
Gurgaon and
already
all that.
knows about Delhi.
So I've been to enough meetings and I've done enough Make in India stuff. I've sat in enough of these. I've made enough of their films, so I know how all this is happening.
And the Siri heads and all, you knew all that already.
The Sri Fort.
We always, my children have dinner time, meal time conversations from childhood, and he's been discussing history with them because it's just like he enjoys it. So I don't think it was research; it was more like what he's read in over the years. It's just come out.
This is that I find most things very interesting.
Just to add to it, so you don't worry about any factual correctness in your book. It's just like
That's why you don't self-publish. That's why you go to that's why a publisher, in case anybody sort of libels you or says that you're guilty of libelous content, is there. See, I think
in the contract, don't they mention it? All you are liable for whatever.
But there isn't anything really like that.
There isn't actually. And plus, this is fiction, so
Yeah, that gives you sort of
creative liberty.
Are you writing something these days also?
right now, no. But maybe.
Novel in 6 months, like wow.
आपने हमसे एक सवाल किया था मुझे इंटरेस्टिंग लगा कि when you writing you think of the characters first or the story. Lady writer है Shubha. I wonder if she would like to share her experience. When you're writing your novel, you will think of this character in your mind and put them together into some kind of name or whatever. Or you thought of this.
Well, I have written only one book. I mean, I've written two, but one published book. So for me, it was it was a situation which really interested me, and I wanted to write about that. I really wanted to write about that. So then came in the character, and the rest followed. That's how it was.
Even here, this idea of using Maslowian hierarchy and wanting to buy a house, and so there's a story here, some frame of a vague frame of a story, and then the characters.
I think it's a very basic thing, and I also think it's skewed. There's in my heart of hearts, I know there's something wrong because it never stops. What happens is you build a house, but you don't stop.
Yes.
If you continue being successful, you build another one. Then you get a bigger one, and then you say, "कितने कमरों में रहोगे?"
हाँ. क्या लुटियंस में रहोगे बंगले में? हाँ. 600 करोड़ में रहोगे.
Written here that that at the age of 90 years she planned to buy a house in Gurgaon?
No.
वही मैं सोच रही हूँ 90 years तक
Some characters.
Okay, I think we can wrap it up. It was lovely. We had a great discussion on a very interesting book. On a personal level, I was very impressed with the language. We are a lot of literature students around here. Most of them are from either doing their BA honors in English or their MA or finished in the process of their PhD. So,
that's nice.
So, by and large, people are very influenced with your language, use of language.
We were classmates in postgraduate studies, and I just remember from those days onwards, friends, colleagues, me included, we used to always say, no, you write so well, it comes so naturally, you must write a book. It was like he was getting fed up at one point, that why do I have to write? I enjoy reading. But that's one of his strong points.
That was that 25 years ago or something? Yes. Okay. So let's add that 25 years to that 6 months.
Yes. No, but I always write like this. I really enjoy writing. And I sometimes I feel bad when I see the kind of writing that is getting published.
Well, having a discussion with you, we know that it's a very natural.
It's a natural
yes, that's you.
Sometimes when conversation there were so many words that are so interesting the way he placed it.
Yeah.
So is it only your reading that has made you grasp so many words together?
Yes, darling. My student, sorry.
No, I think one thing that you need to understand is to remain a student. It's not just reading. You need to be interested in everything. Like she's talking about our dinner table discussions with our children. We used to talk about things like this is what it's actually sand. It's silicon dioxide. It's SiO2. It's sand tempered with heat makes glass, and then it's smoke. It's tempered. What does tempering the glass mean? What makes it non-breakable or less amenable to breaking? It's so interesting. And this is cellulose. It's wood. Where does it come from? From the xylem and the phloem of trees. What are xylem and phloem? The connective tissues that actually take it up. But it's interesting. All and everything around you is of great interest. Like she's talking about Harari and Homo Deus. That's what he is able to remain interested in large social movements.
Okay, so thank you so much, Chanchal. Thank you. Thank you, Sujata. We had a very good conversation.
Thank you, Sabha. Thank you. A big hand for the host, please. Thank you. I think this is a wonderful initiative that you do, and I hope every one of us takes it forward.
And I must just say that I will accompany him for a few of these sessions. You brought out very, very relevant questions.
I know.
Yeah, very nice. Actually, I said that in the beginning.
Because that makes a difference when you're discussing.
Of course, I mean, if the moderator is good, the moderator can pull out the interesting things from the author. And now we can have some tea and biscuits, but Shubha has to make a little announcement.
Yeah, just wanted to